Hi, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another beautiful day. And I will call it the Spirit Day. We're glad to always have you here. You are the reason why we would always come back to this place. Wherever you're watching us from, or at whatever time you're watching us from, pleasant greetings to you. And I'm still your host on this program, ArinzeChukwu. This is Spirit. And what we do on Spirit is to come blunt. We are taking a look at what's happening in our society and the government and um, our policies, organizations, parastatals, agencies, whatever it is at all. We're evaluating them all and seeing how much we can be able to lend voices to rejig, to revive, to redeem. And that's, by the way, we're not here for any religious program. My name is ArinzeChukwu, like I told you earlier, and I have a very beautiful, elegant, progressive, productive young lady with me in the studio to do justice to the subject that we have today: relationship, marriage, the real story. And I'll tell you, she is one person that you would love to listen to. So I advise you to get a cushion, sit, call your friends and family to come hear what she's got to deliver today. Don't go nowhere. When we come back from this short break, I'll let you to hear from her. Welcome back to the program. Um, I've She doesn't like elaborate introduction. She likes it very simple. She likes it concise. Then if she now wants to do the elaborate herself, that's beautiful. I have Miss Kenechwukwu Eche, right?
Correct.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank
I feel
you.
like giving you a hug, but let me contain myself. And thank you for coming around. I know that it takes a lot to have you out, particularly on a day like this. And because of your love for people, your love for impact, your love for reaching out to people, you've decided to oblige this invite. Thank you.
You're
It's
welcome.
it's an honor. You need to listen to her. She sounds very beautiful. All right. So now let's get into business. What would you say about relationship? Let me start off like that.
Mm, First of all, we need to find out what relationship is.
Exactly.
And in the best of our definition, let's take it as a relationship is a connection that involves different kinds of interactions. It can be social, it can be romantic, it can be familiar. It's just a connection. And out of that connection, you define yours.
Mm.
So that's what relationship is all about.
You are going to mess with my mind on this
I
subject
will
now,
try
but
not to.
I refuse to.
I will try not to.
Okay, you are very apt,
Okay.
all right, by virtue of the elaborate definition. I
Okay.
want to narrow it down to, should I say emotional?
Okay.
Should I say affectionate, intimacy? I don't know how to want to narrow it down.
Let's
All
take
right,
it to from emotional because it is from emotional that you get
to build.
to build extras.
Mm,
And when I mean the extras, when you get to love, you build some extra kind of affection about a particular person. If it is from that that you get marriage, you get kids, you keep expanding it,
having the
but
extras.
it's having the extras, having the expectations, and having the
Mm,
exceptionalities, because you have to have all these
exactly.
things together so that you can define a particular exception about somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
So let's talk about emotional relationship.
oh, emotional relationship between adults. It's emotional relationship can be complex
Exactly.
and multifaceted.
Exactly.
Um, but let's take the both of them. Kai wala fa na.
I will
Kai wala
want
yung
to
wala. Because when you talk about emotional relationship, you're talking about connections that involves emotions.
Exactly.
Just like you are now, Arinze, all of a sudden you're beginning to look special. Maybe because I've taken a detailed observation about you or around you.
I'm beginning to I want to begin to look like that.
No, you're not. You're not yet. So it is that is where the nurturing comes from. When you start giving some special consign, special definition, special observation about a particular person, mostly let's take on the opposite sex, like a man
Sure.
towards a woman or a woman towards a man. That is where you invest emotions. That is where you first develop emotions. And what are these emotions? Let's take it to our definition. Let's not go to the dictionary or
Exactly.
anything. They are those tiny, 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 tiny sparks or ignitions that happens in your brain, happens in your mind, happens in your spirit, about somebody. And the moment you begin to have it and they start coming together, they sprout from here to there and from there to there. This shirt you're wearing now begin to look so fantastic. But this is a shirt that I saw in Ekoka
Exactly.
or I saw in Onitsha. But they are looking, the haircut, there is this exceptionality about you at this point. So when the emotion sets in, that's the beginning of the game.
You mentioned something. You see, I was taking notes,
Okay.
right? Friends, let me start. You talked about emotions between adults.
Okay.
You talked about the sprouting, and I would like to add the sprouting process. You
Okay.
talked about developing and nurturing emotions.
Okay.
Right. So let me start from emotions between adults. As much as I know you know, I'll put it like that.
I may not know.
But that's
As much as you know.
because I believe by virtue of how much I know you were exposed
Okay.
and you've seen things, right? Even though you see that emotions can actually do happen, not can, between even teenagers,
Of
children, all
course.
right?
Of
When I say emotions, I mean this emotional relationship thing from where you formed the base, where the extras are now built.
Okay.
How do you also talk about that? Is it something that should be consequential? Is it something that should never happen? What factors also bet that? I want to establish the fact of that emotional thing between adults and then the younger people.
Okay. There's something called chemistry.
Okay.
It doesn't have age limit.
Respect.
It doesn't have age, sex limitations. It knows no boundary. It can even happen between kids.
Exactly.
Because you wake up one day and you find your son telling you that he doesn't want to go to school because Amanda in
It's not
his
coming to
class
school.
is not coming to that school anymore. And you're wondering, Bobo, you like a kind of school and because if a man, what happened? You don't want to go he will vehemently refuse
Yeah.
to go to school. And you want to find out the reason why this boy is building up this restriction about teacher. Please, who is Amanda?
Exactly.
And he will tell you that Amanda is his classmate that he likes a lot. That's very translucent, natural, pure, but it's chemistry
Exactly.
within their own age limit. But it's happening because he doesn't care if the whole school doesn't come to school as long
Yes.
as Amanda is there.
Correct.
Now you get to a stage where we were all taught of, when and where we were taught about puberty. During Valentine, I should tell that in the last 15 years or 20 years, somebody like Arinze he would rather not go for offering in the church if he doesn't buy a small card with flower that is chicken to give a particular
Aisha
girl.
was like that.
I'm just saying, if you were not, there must be somebody that you know.
Definitely.
So that is chemistry. But you find out that sometimes age screws them all.
Exactly.
The reason it does is that when it happens, you were within a particular understanding, a particular knowledge, maybe naivety, you have a limited understanding
Exactly.
about things because you have little or no responsibilities. And so you pay attention to some certain things that are irrelevant as a small boy, as a young boy. Not now. Now you have your mental selections.
Exactly.
You already know what you have. So you need to, you already have a better understanding and knowledge of yourself. So
Exactly.
you know what you want. So emotions doesn't have, when it involves an aspect of relationship, when it's romantic, it doesn't really have that, it has an
Age
age
limit.
limit when
By way
it's,
of practice.
yes, it really does. But you cannot say that it doesn't happen among teenagers. It happens. But there's, apart from the effect of the media currently, because we have different experiences. The experiences we're having now, we are seeing now as parents, parenting this new generation, and the experience and the ones we had as adults now are completely different.
Correct.
Because then the fact that you're told that you're beautiful, it just spikes a little self-consciousness or awareness in you. You just move around it. But you don't just see the girl's body.
Yeah.
You don't just, there's so much boundaries that you can't even cross. And there's limited access. You get this very strong limited access. There's no
Is it limited
phone.
or there was no access?
They were limited access because Arinze can tell Nonso to
To tell.
call Chiamaka. The only thing he need, it was just
Okay.
limited because you need to bribe Nonso. And for Nonso to get to Chiamaka, for Chiamaka to now call Kene,
Exactly.
Nonso needs to bribe. So you must have to suffer
Exactly.
to get the connection.
Okay.
All you need now is just either the social media handle or her phone number. And when Kenechwukwu finally comes out to the supposed meeting place, if she waits for you, because she herself has limited time. Mami
Yeah.
ase yanya natakwa ose so
Exactly.
ko zacha azo no ko
Exactly.
sache
Ezi bi
fele
ozu n'ụlọ.
ko bi onkolo. So if she comes out there and offering, she has limited time. You might be very close, but because no one access to give you a call
Yeah.
to find out, she may leave.
Akwaba na ya.
And that nkanwa akugo or man walk out. So, and should she come out, the both of you were limited because you're going to be pretending ka mmadụ na-agafe ya ife unu.
Exactly.
Then mmadụ fụkwa n'unu ya bụ na ịnọ iche nyanwa
Nyanwa
nọ
nọ
iche.
n'iche.
O nwere ike mmadụ
Abịa sị
na-agata
na.
ọ sị ya mbakwa na ọba nọkwa agric teacher anwa na klaasị anwa ga-ekwusikwanye hey na nwaanyị anwa assignment ọnya anyị. That wasn't the discussion.
Exactly.
But she needs to actually pretend, wrap up some drama so that the adult that is passing, that's intelligence, that's strict wisdom. The children of nowadays ain't worried because they just lock their password and keep their phones. You get, so it actually molded our self-consciousness. It preserved a lot of sanity, a lot of morality then than now. Because you might be in the bid of seeing Nonso half and half, and Nonso will travel.
Exactly.
Nonso's uncle will pick him up. Or Kenneth's parents, who happens to maybe be richer, take her to a boarding school.
Exactly.
And by the time she comes back, you must have found somebody else.
Exactly.
And by the time she herself comes back, she must have had
Moved on too.
a more exposed experience. And she must have, listened to some of her schoolmates, and a lot of things will change. Not like now. So you find out that there's so much around what we have in our knowledge concerning where we are coming from and what we meet, and maybe we still meet because we're not planning to die tomorrow. I'm sorry, I won't get you confused.
Discussing with you, it's key. And I want to believe that even the audience, they are being wowed by how much you're able to play around this thing and demystify it.
Okay.
Right? Now, I was going to get into developing and nurturing emotions.
Okay.
But before I get into that, let me first ask. We talked about sanity. in time before.
Yes.
Now, what went wrong now?
Technology did.
Technology. How do we
Yes.
get to manage that? Do you think its disadvantages outweighs the advantages with regards to the generation now, and then the emotional relational exposure that they have, and how detrimental it has become for the kids of now too?
Honestly, if we go into this, we may not live tomorrow
Mm.
because
We might not live
we
tomorrow.
may not live tomorrow
So today is not even enough.
because the droplets that's built that well, if you're thinking it's about to get filled, the deep end it
Yeah.
goes. First of all, before the emergence of camera, we had life, organic, beautiful, true. You know, you can tell if I tell you I like you, if I tell you I love you, it makes more sense. And you get to feel it. You will find out that I didn't just speak it, you will feel it. Because there's nothing as beautiful as when something is felt. Ordinarily, if anybody tells you I love you, you be like, I love you too.
Yeah.
But then again, I love you.
Exactly.
But there's this person that tells you I love you.
And it
That's
resonates.
feelings that hits your soul directly. That's what makes it different. Now, technology has screwed up a lot. I want to believe that very soon, the reasons for it's already happening. Plenty relationship problems and issues and marital divorces will be that Nonso did not post me on a Monday
It's happening
morning,
already.
not on my birthday, on a Monday morning.
Or women crush Wednesday.
On a Monday morning. He's supposed to post me on a Monday morning.
First thing, Monday
First
morning.
thing on a Monday morning. He's supposed to do that. But personally, as a parent, as much as I can, I try to let my children understand that life can be true without this. It's going to be difficult, but I try my best. And in trying that best, they have very tight restriction towards gadgets and exposure to what is inside the gadgets. That's paramount.
The gadget and the
It's
exposure
inside.
to what's inside.
Yes.
Very key.
Because it is the exposure to what is inside the gadgets that changes the game. We had access to computers.
Definitely.
In the 90s and the early 2000s. Then they were just Skype, Viber, to go. Well, phone, I'm just talking about the ones in the computer where you have to pay before you have access to Uncle Abuchi in America. Now, but we were very cautious. Right now, when they get to the system, they are in Google, they are in TikTok, they're in porn sites, and there's no porn site that is just very few that is restricted.
Yeah.
You want to go? So I'm Nene, Jonya Kanji one day. So we continue. And you see, I just got Arinze. So when this happens in one's mindset as a younger person, you get confused. The reason you get confused is that if you're not careful, you might be developing love for a particular person, struggling to be focused until you have access to this, where you post a picture, a beautiful picture, just as beautiful as I am, and in a twinkle of a fire, you're having like 50 different comments from separate personalities vibing to your key.
Vibing to your key.
Hi. At some point, you might be having at some point, you might be having one or two hitches in your relationship that you can actually rule out, or discuss out, settle. But you don't really you don't really want to deal with that now because you need to, serve a little bit of
Yeah,
attention to the ones
exactly.
you are now feeling from the media.
Exactly.
And don't forget that you need time from this person. So I just got to take now wherefore like this comment, like that comment, like that comment. You're reading it up. What you see matters because it has a way of working hand in hand with whatever hormones that
Exactly.
transfers information to your
Exactly.
brain.
Accurate.
So it matters. So having access sometimes to this media, the advantages are beautiful. The disadvantages are also very horrible. They're both at the extreme.
Exactly.
But what we hope
Both
for,
extreme.
yes, the both of them, because they're beautiful because they've created job opportunities.
Sure.
They've caused you to meet people that you felt or you feel you've lost. They will cause you to also meet present beautiful people. They are the extreme because so many things happen there. If you're not careful, you can lose your sanity, you can lose your personality. It can damage so many things that you love and wish you're already preserving. It can damage it completely. Fame is very tough.
Sure.
And one thing that media offers is fame. Fame comes with a lot of fiction, inorganic existence, pretentious livelihood. So if you don't get this together and get yourself together, you may live your life completely as a loner while thinking you're enjoying it, but you're not.
I asked you to get a seat and call your family and friends. It's going to really be a very interesting time with Kenneth. A lot has to be said, but we are constrained by time. All right, time is always of essence. Before I step a bit further, because you keep saying parenting your kids and stuff, I'm going to come to that. But before we get to that subject, let's deal with developing and nurturing emotions. When you said that, it simply means that these things can be, should I use the word built? Then you can nurse it, right? Invariably, it's not just about the spark of it. It's about your ability to nurture it, your ability to also possibly, should I say, tame, give it a guide. So, how can these two be actually played on?
Okay.
The developing, you talked about chemistry. Is it something that comes on its own accord? Is it something that you can intentionally want to allow yourself to develop? And then how do you get to nurture? Are there factors you should even consider when trying to nurture emotions for a given person? Right. That's I would just like to leave the question in that structure.
Um, okay. Chemistry comes from emotional and physical attraction. That's where I believe it
I agree.
comes. The reason it has to do with emotion and physical is because you may develop it even without physically seeing the person.
Exactly.
That's why you fall in love with a stranger on Facebook,
Exactly.
and you end the relationship, you fall out of the love still without meeting the person.
Exactly.
But it involves this tool. It is from the chemistry that you get to define some certain things. What you feel for this person, is it out of business? Is it out of uh, uh, is it romanticized? Is it passionate? You know, what do I really feel? You will not get this answer right if you have not understood your person
So
somehow.
primarily understanding your person comes first.
Yes. Understanding your person and understanding your status. These two,
Status varies.
very important. Yes, when you say status, it's not just married or married. No,
Mm-hmm.
it can be. There's what we call relationship dynamics, the in and the out, the statutory personality of this person. I being okay, you can't just go for a secondary school child. That's one. And you can't just go for somebody just from anywhere. You wouldn't like it. Imam kusonya nele popcorn, chobia. You got to go and we got differences
Okay.
so that it can work.
Yeah, I wanted you to spell that status because most times people when people hear status, they
They
get
feel
to
because
think too many things.
no, your status can be that Abugolume a graduate,
Exactly.
Abugolume an engineer.
Etelugomefa.
Age status, Elugom 35,
Bam.
Anom 43, Onwezi Vejikolomu na nwa 19.
Bam.
That's what I mean. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And so when you have this intact, because you don't expect, when you talk from here, you get to the dynamics. You don't expect a child who is from a very influential background to come to your one bedroom heated kiosk and begin to sing. It only happened in the movies. It doesn't really happen in reality because these are two separate worlds.
Exactly.
Life is not scripted. If you script yours, you will die while you're living. You understand that?
Yeah.
If you script your life, you will die while you're living. So when you develop this about a particular person, then you begin to nurture it. Because from that development, I get to know what you like. I get to know whom you are. And whom you are, how you handle some certain things. What are your likes, dislikes? And when you talk of likes and dislikes, you must want to know you with hobbies. Or they call or the
Oh,
what it means is alababayi,
exactly.
boom.
Yeah.
Financially, like what is your capacity when you're dealing with financial stress, emotional stress, psychological stress, even sexual stress? Because nobody defines tomorrow.
Yeah.
So when you have an accident and you develop some kind of sexual problem, or the lady has a health issue and she develops some kind of sexual problem, how does he manage it? We hide some certain things. Psychologically, if he natural, obo no garo, keki, agbacha kita ball, obo na team ye melivo, ya kali TV. Then you come to the woman. If I stop wearing it, or if I no longer wear it as much as I do, how does she manage our ish? So in the quest to find this out, if you're getting some kind of result that you desire, the nurturing starts to set in effortlessly. But if you're not getting it, depending on how desperate that you are, you may want
emphasis on desperate.
Yes, you may want to sideline some obvious red flags. Personally, I have no business with a dirty man. I can wake up and tell you to leave the house, or I will leave the house for you.
That's the definition.
Dating.
When
I talk of dirty, you know when an adult is dirty.
Oh, na sa or one if you know.
It's crazy. It might not be the same with another woman. So if you're getting what you want from this person, it's like a study. But it differs because if I am hungry, I won't be patient enough to find this out. It only takes you for me to call you me to call you my God. Because and you're my God. You're my king. You're my everything. So it differs. If you find your person, you have some certain level of independence, most importantly, maybe financially or emotionally, because some people are financially independent, but they're not emotionally independent.
Of course.
That's why you see some very rich women going down with their drivers. You get it? They really need some people to cling on to so that it can work. But there are some people that are emotionally independent. They love you, but they don't need you no more. You get? So if you have known yourself, no matter at which level, and you're trying to understand this person in question, you take it bit by bit. I'm somebody that is quite very humorous. So I have no business having a very serious man around me. He's a very shiny red flag, as red as the red colors on this gown.
You're a very serious man. Who doesn't have any sense of humor?
Because
I see why.
enwere ike nnecha ya anya with isi igwe ntocha anyị epụta n'ụtụtụ ọ dị m ka m edogharịghị nsị bịa n'isi anụ nwadị maka isi chara bọọ ya mgbe. So if you don't grab it,
Yeah.
like you have a man whom you leave the house with, you get to an occasion, the both of you are together laughing that the next person will be like, "Echem na mmadụ na-aba asị n'ofu ụlọ. Ka ezi fefa na-akali na-aba."
Yeah, can I
That's the connection. But most times you don't get it all. That's why we are humans. But if you're getting some level of percentage positively in what you're, just like an examination, you're writing this man as an exam, he is writing you. It's like a mutual thing. You know, and when this happens, you must have to release some hormones of vulnerability. You must have to do it. What I go hair only be for you when you clean off this makeup and this hair is unpacked and you know you're just you. There's no pretenses, but you must not be desperate because desperate people are very, very meticulous with how they act.
Meticulous?
Yes, they're very meticulous. You can never get them. Before she picks up your call on the video, oh yeah, wada. Because she doesn't want you to see her the way that.
But that's an angle you're coming from. You know, most times, so desperate people can be carelessly vulnerable. They leave themselves at bay because they just want to get this at all costs.
No, it depends. For them to get that at all costs, they don't want you to see them ugly. Because they already believe that they're ugly. So they're always conscious.
But that's basically that. We'll be back. When we come back from the short break, we'll get to allow her to dish out more. Welcome back to the program. And in case you're just joining us, this is Spirit. And I have the most distinguished, intelligent lady with me discussing the subject that we have on ground: relationship, marriage, the real story. And if you're just joining us, you could, she's been dishing it hot. Imagine we are the host now. I have to open my diary, my notepad, and I'm taking notes. So you get to understand how severe it is. And she's Miss Kenechwukwu Eche, one of the finest you can find around. Did I say that again? They used to say that fair babes are not beautiful, but she is beautiful. So, and welcome back to the
fair babes
program.
will come for you.
Eh?
Fair babes will come for you. I beg, make we no come yet.
They never come. Okay, you were saying something while we went on break. I don't know if I would want to get deep into that. You talked about civil war to hear, and they constitute, should I say, the breeding, whatever, for emotions and stuff. All right. Then you talked about emotional intelligence, and as much as I've always heard and known about it, you came from an angle that wowed me.
Okay.
All right. But then let me narrow down to when you talked about parenting your kids and stuff. You mentioned person that was trained with a survival mode and somebody was trained in love and all of that. Are there personal experiences you would share first with respect to how parental exposure inputs can actually affect a person's style of relationship? I know a lady, should I say a girl back then while we were in school, the boyfriend used to beat her hard. It was told me. I confronted the guy and was the girl came to me and said, President, leave him now. He's beating me because he loves me. When I say beat, I mean that very day the girl had scar. They are married now with a kid. So I don't know what's happening though. But now I don't know if it's a way of also trying to buttress what you said, how somebody, some people believe that beating is part of
it's
love.
still in
and all that.
emotional intelligence.
So can you just maybe experientially and give the other things you would want to say about that? Let's get to also here.
Okay. Can we talk about what emotional intelligence is?
Of course.
That's the knowledge of, your knowledge of yourself emotionally, your self-awareness, your self-regulations, your self policies, your culture, your values that actually guides and defines you every day. If you are aware of you, you won't get involved deeper. You may just like somebody and it ends there. You won't, because you know likeness is just a positive feeling about something. You just like this.
Positive feeling.
Yes. you just like the person. But when you talk about love, you're talking about intense affection, exceptionalities. A lot about them begins to interest you in a very special way. So now, some people, sometimes we get so carried away by academics that you want all the awards from a school, from your child, from their school. But there are some aspects that actually guides children. They are not always taught in school. They are taught at home.
Certainly.
They are not verbally taught. They are practical.
At home.
Yes. The children absorb it from you as much as you can. If you are not positive enough, they take in whatever they feel. If you're positive, they understand it. They understand na mama fa ada chokwu di fa. My kids mana mama fa bropa don't date. Do you understand? That she can be smiling and laughing and change it all of a sudden, depending on where, when, and how. Because I can't be dressed like this and I want to fight with Anya Keke. I've taught to not to let some certain things. I don't give out my permission or authentication to some kind of people so that they get to my nerve. There's a place I pause it. I learned this from my upbringing.
Ability to pause.
Yes.
When, where, how.
That's where you get something that guides your everyday life. Emotional intelligence. It has so many departments. It's like a full school with so many departments, just like financial intelligence that makes you understand now in a lot of even though what ifs are so they have their own departments. You get, but the way I think and see things is not the same way with maybe onyazo n'ime shop, because some iwe no kata we bia me anyhow from ụmụaka fa afụbago the ebe a na-anụ ọgụ wee malụ the right uppercut to hit. And when it's not the same with nwa natala akwụkwọ nne ọwụ arụ olie nni force one to go and take siesta. The reason I use that word force is because most times at that age, you even feel you don't have to sleep. It is now that you will look for siesta and you will not even siesta, you will not see okay, you will not see LB, you will not see anybody again. Do you understand? So at that stage in your life or of your life, what you take in, somehow it's what guides you. Maneba and a bit different between the male and the female. I'll give you a little bit of it so that I don't get off the track. Nwoke sometimes can actually be recultured by a woman he loves.
Recultured. I agree with you.
The balancing and complete or signed papers of a man's emotion sometimes is determined by the woman's pen. That is why the reason in the world, even though we claim to be more intelligent, is that they understand how everything, including nature, works. Say, oh, do I look like somebody that cures madmen? But now, if you just say Notaria, why? Because if on
exactly.
onwe ife ekele ụmụ nwoke ka ọ sị mba na mma ewe na nke ụlọ because na nwunye m alụgo
Yeah.
na ọ nwekwa
Yeah,
na-enwe
yeah.
ife ekele ụmụ nwoke. So he is already seeing responsibilities left for him onwe ike na ya emenwuni on his own. Mana a woman, a girl as young as 14 in today, mana 14 mgbe anyị mgbe ahụ abụrụsịkwa 14 kịta.
Yes,
Because 14 mgbe anyị for kịta or say brother good afternoon sir.
Yeah.
Mana 14 kịta is gonna tell you hi Mr. Rinze.
Yeah. What's up?
What's up? And ọkwa ọgwa anyị or say what's up?
Yeah.
Like nya gị kọtaba akụkọ na ọ dịgo ready.
Guy, have fun now.
Guy, how far now? Depending on orientation.
Exactly.
You want to go because orientation nwatakịrị azụrụ azụ. A man say hi, a man say what's up, or you say good afternoon, sir. You want to go. Mana nwatakịrị no by that way. Na I say guy, get away. What's up, Amakali? You want to go. So it happens. If you are self-conscious of your attitude, of your behavior, of your actions, of your words, it helps you attract that which seems to be similar. Because na idi ayala, iyasi na ike nwa adi okwa. Mo ebulu no nwoke, ebulu no nwanyi, sorry. Iyasi biko I like umu nwoke na address you ta. It's not my thing. They might be kind. Because in most cases, they might be kind. It's just their fashion sense and preferences. But oburi feature. But you need to know what you want. And by knowing what you want, you need to have something yourself. You don't give what you don't have. You need to have something yourself. It is out of that your cup that you pour. And if I'm pouring and you're pouring, I'm on I like it on I repel. You want to go. If it's liking, well, that's okay. It's moving. Which unfortunately now some people don't even think of those details. You need to get to some age before you begin to think like this. You gotta go because if you still have limited exposure experiences, imago. Kita eba ye be duru je we for the flower. Hey, oto ye gere you know if you go to the flower the shanya go put a white. Omaka it's part of something that fantasizes yourself, your person. So you need to get to some point. But as much as you can, self-consciousness is important. Self-consciousness is important. So you don't have so much to regret.
Talking about parenting, let's come to you now. Now, marriage, religion seems to have boxed us in some way.
Has done a lot.
And with regards to the concept of marriage, that's till death do us part. Let's talk about it.
Okay, marriage is very beautiful. It has its beautiful things, even with its sacrifices. A lot has their sacrifices. But at this point, currently, till death do us part sounds like a trauma to me. Having experienced so many things from my workplace, from some experiences, it sounds like it's traumatic to me because sometimes you get involved with a person based on your understanding of life at that point. But you know that so many people were not joined together. Like, what you hear, what God has joined together, let no man put asunder. That's for those that went for the church wedding. But you know that so many people were not joined together by God. So many people were joined together by hunger.
Exactly.
So many were joined together by sex.
Exactly.
So many were joined together by undesired pregnancy. So many people were joined together by, their feelings or by profession. Makana utansi bro no so doctor can na afo. Utansi bro doctor so nurse can na afo. Utansi bro lawyer so lawyers can na afo kali. So many things joined a lot of people together. But you find out that sometimes you get joined together when you had very limited understanding of your person, of life, of standards. You know, there's this level of naivety in your existence. There's this level of unawareness in your, existence. Chinefo, ife a na-agbanwe ụtụtụ, ife a na-agbanwe. Now, it will get to a point where you will have little or nothing holding on to that marital relationship. If you have built so much bond, if you both have a high sense of mutuality in different aspects of life, you must have built so much bond together that will lead you, that will, pierce ways for you to escape the hard times. But if you have not, it gets to a point where it turns to kam kantawolo. And there's something my father always tell us. In our school, or say you change the where. You makwalo ebe na-eje mgbe iji eje na odi ebe na-eje. Ka igbe na-adị na ọkpọ apịla onye ọzọ. Do you understand that? So that you don't go to take a blow that is not meant for you. Do you know the meaning? I will explain. Imana mụ na ị na-anụ ọgụ kịta. Akụgo nga ọkpọ kpim. So the next one ya come suppose to ihumohu na o suppose ijamia bad. Imagine nonso na enwere ife ọghọta ma Chiamaka na just ka ọ bịa gboo ịdanyelụ data ọkpọ because they are so unprepared for it. Is go ọbụ na ọ dị ajọ ọ ya ayasa dị jọ. Ọbụ na anya fa ọ ya akọkọfa dị anya. Mana gịnwa ọ dị meant for ịya na ezetụ ebe ọ bụ na ọ kọtagodi
ya. Something is coming for you.
Good. So he will tell you that. So if it's olurana at that stage of kamu kantawoi, you mana ntai kita. Obona ntai nisi asoro ntutu. You're targeting my ike and you will not sonse. And the meaning when you tanya, ya no fumba chali ike ya pwa. And after the alo, ada chogumma.
Of course.
Idu oma kananya. Utobi. Choyi. If it has gotten to that point, Paul na Barnabas, or Bible didn't just say, "Imagine Bible." This is plate, Paul na Barnabas say, "You go separation." But unfortunately, religion went there and clipped something deceitful. Clip there, say him back. Say when Paul na Barnabas. No. So
now, man, you're talking about the now. Should we say it's religion or doctrine? Which one should we even target to now?
Religion. Because I may be a doctrine of Yabaru. The reason why you different and those all of clip one or two there.
Religion is universal.
Yes. Mana each I call it shop or market. Mana each ends where their own pros and cons. But I'm talking about Nkanyewa, which is where till death do us part. A man's grave is not 6 feet. But living in a place of, when I talk of man, I talk of man and woman. But living in an environment that is so toxic, living a very unhappy life, that you to the world you're achieving everything, but deep down in you, waka. That's the main grave. I say in the one neighbor gonna know.
Okay, but Nandi Bongo, too many
you gotta go. On a man and
what is Nandi wanna give you?
On a man and walking a man and why. So it is that clip that I find traumatic presently. I may not find it traumatic before, because you get as a woman that there's this projection that Mother Nature gives women. The ability to multitask, the ability to preserve, the ability to defend, the ability to protect. Women are very protective. On a mema no koko.
Yeah.
Imagine you get the jekulu more koko. Yeah, no, so so that clip may not really ring bell loudly. There's a difference between bell and bell. But right now, with your experiences and exposure and better enhanced understanding of life and how precious it can be, you may not want to take it. If Rana na tabago kwa hey, ichayalia. Na dia alwa tata. Ozo ya train pan. We want train pan. I'm not talking about tray. We want train pan.
Train pan.
No, yeah, back. So you may want to you may want to avoid it. You will not want that to happen. Saying till death do us part, just like you said I wrote, it's like me signing my demise paper in front of a loaded gun with somebody else holding on to the trigger. Yeah, no, not when I have a complete knowledge of my existence and how sweet I taste.
Do you think it is just about religion? Because I know cases I've also heard, and during the days of active practice in print journalism, I've reported on issues like this where parents coerce, parents push their female children into marriage that they are not ready for, they are not prepared for, they don't have a choice, they don't. A wife and a man quite long in the marriage, we see make the marriage work. Apart from religion, no, this is not church. Do you think that issues like this, factors like this, can also lead to if my mother at that time till they do us part in its own way?
Did you hear when I said that so many people were joined together by poverty?
Okay.
Did you hear that?
Even business affiliation.
Yes. God did not do some of this job that he's been accused of. Those things that was enforced on him, he didn't do so many of them.
What's the way out?
The way out can be easy and complex, but somehow, to the best of my knowledge, I will give my best way out. Communication is key because communication builds connectivity.
In a marriage that you don't have a say.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Communication is important because that is what builds connectivity.
Exactly.
But there must be a meeting ground. In a situation where that meeting ground is unavailable, David Ogonya say, no, I'm unavailable. They no go see me. Now he came to a point where he said, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
And if it's not, it can't work. So if it is not, that's
one.
I am not available. Do you understand? So that is even water.
As I appreciated in age, exposure,
experiences,
contact, experiences, getting to hear people talk, interacting with people, my preferences changed.
Obviously.
Priorities were altered.
Oh, yeah.
Certain things that used to interest me, that used to propel me, that used to. I don't remember. Some of them ended up before not now, or not aquasim, or mount. Do you understand?
Always a bit
They become inconsequential.
Yes.
Rightly. And I'm saying this to also buttress the fact that unless Kenechwukwu, what time I trouble? When should I make mention of?
Time at all. That's not time is offensive. At all because whatever mistake you made with some certain time, yeah, then they carry over.
Exactly.
And one of the painful things that is wicked in one's life is to write carry over on courses or malo. Come on, no, go out where more no, did I well, then I wrote the exam. Oh, where did the exam because no, they carried away by the present.
Should we, do you mind talking about your past experiences?
Yes. My past experiences, even though it's in the past, but I can go somewhere and find it.
You were married, right?
Yes.
Why did you leave?
So many things can cause one to leave. But personally, I left when I could no longer align with so much things that I was experiencing and I was seeing.
Would you advise ladies, even men? I know a man, I don't know if he's still alive, several years ago. And left him and he became beggarly. I heard story of one. I didn't get to meet him. J more carats because the wife was really, really beating him. So I'm saying this also because if I don't wake up, look and work. Would you advise people to back down and back out when it's no longer healthy?
It depends on your capacity. Backing out, backing down and backing out to go and become a nuisance is a problem.
So,
Backing out and backing down and backing out to go and get yourself that's even an azo or backing out, backing down and backing out as a way if you're conversant with the inebriant, I say you can wait mojeluku na godin ka ojeleje. You got to go meaning na kanya wonwe kpolugodi na onu aruru. Obo na onu aruru ya di na ebe na ebe ka olugodi na onu aruru. Mana
why can you use them?
Sorry. Ebe gbata lodi. Mana we kpojeluku isi from ukwu jebe ekulobia is a problem. Because sometimes you find out that there were some places you didn't really get right, or you got right, but you were not supposed to act effectively the way you acted. So you need to re-strategize. You need to step back, re-strategize, refocus, redevelop, get fixed to some certain things, get, mentally busy, have this impact on yourself that will be positive. The reason I say some people get to be nuisance is that, or that butchakwa some faults, because now trauma differs and your ability to absorb it and work it out or work yourself through it, it differs. It differs because the way somebody who has an influential or affluential background heals is not the same with onye una adiro bennia. You water go mo onye nwere mo chon na eme fadi iche. You water go. So personally, you need to back out and back down and back out planned. And for you to do that, you need to be self-conscious. I will need you
back to this subject again.
I will need you care your something as a man. Because this happens both in men and in women. So many men are badly traumatized. So many men are so unhappy. So unhappy. If they tell their story here, it make a tell of so many women are so unhappy. If they tell their story here, good. Mana, onye kechirie malo gene malo nguru. So unu malo.
Hello, Judy.
Hello, Shidi, my dear. So if you know yourself, you need to get yourself prepared. And getting yourself prepared, I will need trousers and your shirt. It has to do with your mentality. It's always difficult because you need mental stability in order to be productive positively.
I like how this subject came because one, I was telling somebody recently, I said the issue is allowing people of your present to suffer what people of your past did. And I believe that also comes in the way of not backing down and not to not become a nuisance. Maybe you not back out because you cannot manage yourself. Maybe somebody who is emotionally dependent, it's okay by something else. But they are mountainous
because
problem.
Because Ibu fresh apa, where is it from Iwada hospital, by a hospital. Because every there's
I'm gonna
you know then you was is here by one week from the other end. Or one at the old one by long call a bit on. I see Tom very well now. Apoko Nike Apoko. It's an all card. It was there be if you know so they chew put the injection because it's like a necessary evil.
Yeah. What advice would you give to people who are intending to marry? Because somebody said to me, somebody said marriage is scary. Generally, what advice would you give to people intending to
Just
get
like
married?
I said it before, and I will always say, marriage is beautiful, but depending on age, because you can't rule it out. And you find out that so many people are ready for marriage, wedding, social media. They're not ready for the. So many people are ready for wedding. They're not ready for the marriage.
Exactly.
But I want to tell everybody, anybody, that the best advice is the advice that your reality gives you. Not from me, not from him. Your reality gives you. Oh, I don't know. Yes, sir. And a little line around it. Your reality is you. You just like having your existence real, on organically, without cosmetics, real. You know what you want without looking, because there's something that actually comes in. Things will always be working out fine or smoothly until comparison. You see that comparison, even before you can comprehend it, has screwed it up. It will not help you comprehend again. It will help you to jump into conclusion. Comparison. If you set in your reality, malokitana, nyipugaona, no way be femeba. You what I go, and you know someone, unless man you sleeveless. So you know your reality. You get connected into when you get any make you fair. That's why I said that the best advice is that which your reality gives you, not the one Kenechwukwu will give you. Because at this point, I may tell you, you need to get a job, you need to be working, you need to. So many people wish for that. They want it as women, but it's not forthcoming. Oh, yeah, ne, cousin, a job. Chia ne ho. You want to go?
Okay, as we begin to wrap up, I'm going to ask him, what's the hope for this generation and coming generations with respect to relationship and marriage? What would be your rescue strategy? More like an advice to this generation. What things do you think should be put in place to better the experience, relationship, marriage, and stuff?
It's very difficult to advise this generation because I don't come from their generation. They will not even understand my advice.
They won't even buy into it.
They will not buy it. So in fact, yeah. Oh, Jehovah Nisi. Equipped with this generation, eh? Where you're going to tell somebody that there's something about one dressing like a girl, dressing like a lady, dressing a child like a child. You are talking to yourself. I'm just telling you in general. I'm trying to generalize this. I'm not being categorical because kita in our going generation no only EVG phone I don't do without phone no.
Of course.
Ozuego ijego data. What we could tell you?
Oh no, when you're never about TikTok and even okay, well.
Ozuego. Mwa phone ftacha mwan kanyi. Chiki go di formula anywa.
Why?
Nya foze ndi amu fafia.
A friend of mine,
okay, let me even tell you what we passed through. Mwana, we just met the phone. And you know,
exactly.
If you credit, if you phone no papun, or anywhere phone numbers, we have one azo newspaper.
Onye na mago onye ogu. Mana eziokwu.
Ebe ka ịma kwanye.
Mana eziokwu.
Then mgbe anwa wee gotezieli phone depending on mgbe ego lu ụfọdụ mmadụ wee kpọọ yi. Ngwe ike bụrụ normal MTN, gba MTN na-akpọba iwe miss the call. You know what you call and I say the number ị na-akpụ ya. Mana
kita
ị nwere ike na-apụ. Maybe you're just in your house, you don't have relationship cures. You know for phone, unless you need it.
Yeah.
So time screws a lot up and gives you a better knowledge and understanding of some particular aspects of life. Manandikita. Okay, like personally, my children were access to the internet, apart from through me. And that through me, they were so conscious of it. What actually maybe. Maybe na mgbe kwesịrị ike imebi. Mana you find out
maybe ya dị mana ọgwụ mgbe kwesịrị ịbụ.
Hey. Any of us, our parents kuziri how to kiss. And unfortunately, presently, some parents now teach their children how to kiss indirectly. You see?
Some directly.
Well, the reason I was saying indirectly is that they feel that they are expressing love. You feel what actually anolo palo. Mama babata say hello darling honey. Iwa kudongunye ine smooch in the presence of your child. Go wherever na get na na fa they used to love. It was that you're bastardizing that child's mental understanding of some particular things.
Exactly.
As you say, mommy and daddy. Do you know that my mommy? And you know some of this easier with because as only personally or lugodi nante. That's why I'm very conscious of my children speaking Igbo. I'm very intentional about it. As a girl, as a young girl, behave like a men like adult. Hey, you must have looked at him and you find something like him climbing around his trouser. You say, brother, that switch of language is going to kill every funny spirit.
Yeah.
But you cannot say, no, leave me now. I don't like it now. This type of thing now. Don't be doing it now. Or then again, you can okay, what that? So the people of this generation, you just have to try your best.
Exactly.
But it boils down to you getting ready for marriage and what it comes with. It's just like you go take it a brand new car. You want to hear your or fellow. And every fatal accident, 99 points were out of overspeeding. Do you understand? So if you understand that, if you embrace your reality, enough is naga. More than my reality, when it comes to expression, I did that so romantical. Hi baby, Celine Dion, I go away. And when me can go Celine Dion, a balloon I go.
My
job, newi. I job, then I go easy. I know Celine Dion kind of good together, but it's not same with another person. It's not even same with my direct siblings. You want to go ahead, so you get to know in that aspect. So I try to tell my own people, co-parent, meet this present generation, to be as cautious. It's not a flex that your child is overspeeding their age.
Exactly.
It's not a flex. It's not a flex. Now 6 years, may 14 years. And that quest of it is your money, they go by all means, exposing them to some certain things that is undignifying. It might be a trauma response in future. I don't know. Because what Akelewa says right now, do you know that I just recently found out the process of abortion completely, practically on TikTok. So many things are just so open.
Social media is doing a lot.
Keka asina monya mugwa. Ineche inakra opoi kikosi we.
Ajo mama na ya no.
Oh.
Asem mama si. I had to go and ask as okenye mmadụ.
Mana nke a bụrụ okuzi dị na ọ bụkwa na nwatakịrị nwere access to it in her 12s, in her 11s, in her 14s. So many things that it seems is a flex, we should understand that it's not. It's actually creating what I call personality damage on these children. So, ọ bụrụ sọmadị enye ndị kịta advice, mana ọ bụrụ na anyị zụba, because if we no ije and nook and crannies where they now come from, which is from us, their parents. Obu reflex ni potential no if he weapon no mumbe Wi-Fi. At what age? But not download only even a movie. Download only because some cartoons we don't even watch it before we give them access to it. Download only read for me story. If you have that opportunity to for that riches, that provision for them to have access to stuff like that, download only read me stories. Say I just go here, read me stories and I go. And one day David want your Wi-Fi. But then I fall for them say, hey, because Kampoko didn't know David, my son. Kampoko didn't know Nonso, my son. Kobia pialo me find a phone. You get?
It's rare.
We need to have that restriction. No one goodie. No one goodie. Because some parents are so indisciplined. You're in the car with your children, you pick them up from school, and somebody is telling you about Kadiesi Wedini. Where me check Kadiesi Wedini on yours, or you look for no money on a moto. And I say, hey, when no dinner, no afford, give me where then why is it? And you think they are not
recording.
They confirm smart recorders.
Yes, they're recording. Very sharp.
So many things are involved. In the marriage.
And this is where we are going to draw the curtain. It's been a very wonderful time with Kene. As a matter of fact, I wish we can have longer time. Maybe we'll still get to lobby and appeal with her to come some other time for the episode 2. All right. Thank you, Kene, for coming around.
Thank you.
You had a beautiful time with us.